Hi guys! For those who don't know, my name's Jasmine and I'm a qualified counsellor and all-round awesome person, and I'm going through the next big stage of my life, which is weight loss surgery. And this week marks now 4 weeks since my operation, and boy has a lot happened in those 4 weeks. Before I go into anything from this week in particular, let's have a quick look at my stats. So first things first, I want to celebrate because I've lost now 20 kilos. Yes, I'm a fifth of the way there. Believe me, I was so excited to step on those scales and see that it's 20 whole kilos lost. It gives me that motivation to meet one of my progressive goals, but either way, it to me is a sign that things are working. And to add to that, I finally moved off that puree stage this week. Thank fudge! And moved on to the more soft foods diet. So now I can chew things, which is fabulous. And I got so excited that I ate a bit too much. In fact, I ate too much and too quickly to a point where I had to go to the bathroom pretty much straight away and regurgitate half of my breakfast. And that kind of turned down the excitement a bit. So anybody who's going through those stages and getting excited about losing 20 odd kilos or getting off the purees finally, do yourself a favour, curb that excitement come mealtime. Or else you're going to be like me, too excited, eating stuff too quickly because you're so engulfed in the fact that, yeah, I can now do this stuff, and future thinking to what you're going to have for the rest of the next 2 weeks and what stuff you can try now, to the point where you don't realise what you're eating and you end up bringing it back up. So I'm going to try not doing that again with the mindful eating exercise I mentioned last week. The other thing I noticed coming in this week, I'm guessing it's with the introduction of the soft foods, is the cravings for something sweet. If you hadn't had a look at my why video that I posted quite a few weeks ago now, I'll link to it in the description, but I mentioned in there that I tended to go for the sweet pastries. So your muffins, your sweet tarts, your croissants, your brownies, everything like that. And I noticed, those cravings were starting to come back. Earlier this week, when I marked the end of the puree diet, I went to the store to grab a couple of things that were in the soft food stage. So I have a few things to try out, at least for the first few days. And I saw at Costco the 6-pack of the really big muffins. And I noticed that they had the apple crumble one back. I hadn't seen that since well before my surgery, and I really loved the taste of it back then. So I thought, you know what? It's a lighter bread in terms of consistency. And I thought, alright, I'll give that a try. Now, did I eat the whole thing in one sitting? Hell no. In fact, I think it took 3 days and 5 sittings to finish one. It's not an easy thing to kind of come back from, especially when you've had, years upon years craving that food and just saying, you know what, stuff it, I'm gonna get it. What I ended up doing whenever I was hungry was ask myself, why do you want this food? If I knew precisely what I wanted. And even when I was just hungry in general, I'd ask myself, okay, why are you really hungry? And it's one of those things where you've got to really have an awareness of yourself and really just be honest with yourself when you ask yourself why. one situation, I was at my computer working away and I had this craving for the sugar in the apple crumble muffins. I asked, okay, why do you want the apple crumble muffin? And I said to myself, well, one, because it's there. Two, because I'm kind of bored. Three, because I want to see if it tastes as good as it did when I last had it, or as good as I remember. And I was able to pick myself up then and say, okay, you want the food because you're bored and it's there. They're two of the reasons why you got so big in the first place. So let's put that on the back burner for now. Let's put that to a side. Right? Let's have some more of the protein water cross Powerade cross actual water. Let that settle down in the stomach and pass through and everything. And, you know, if you're still wanting it, then you can have a little nibble. Turns out, it did the trick. I had a sip or two of the water mixture, and it had been a good hour and a half before I started thinking about muffins again. Mind you, it doesn't work every time. I think the third time I tried that on myself, I was like, yeah, I can't bring myself to drink any more water right now. Let's have a bit of that muffin and see how it goes. It still delayed me giving in to that temptation and more or less keeping on track as much as I could. What happened next leads me to another thing I noticed happening quite a bit this week. And that is that my taste buds have changed already. I didn't think this was going to happen as soon as it has. But when I tried that muffin, it tasted bland. It wasn't the same hallelujah angelic experience, hallelujah, as before. And I ended up asking myself at that moment after I had that nibble, are you really going to eat the other 5? And again, having that awareness of myself and being honest with myself, I said, well, it doesn't taste that great. So if it doesn't taste that great and it's not really helping me towards my goal, not really. The part of me that didn't want to waste food before the operation totally dissipated in that moment when I decided there's no way I'm going to eat all 6 of these muffins. I'm better off just chucking it out. And it was soon after that I realized, hey, you just went in through a lot of otherwise good food, perishable, but good food, out. And I mean, it's not a scale or weight loss goal as such, but to me, it was an achievement. And finally, something a little bit different is that I went out for dinner with the family. And mind you, at that point, I was still technically on purees, but I had already dabbled a little bit with rotisserie chicken. So, you know, I could have a little bit of soft foods if I wanted to, but nowhere near enough for a plate of my own. Keeping in mind that my mother had gone through all of this before, we already had a system in place. In fact, we already spoke about it before the operation because my family knew and I knew what we were to expect when going through those first few weeks and going out to dinner. So we ended up making a joke of it when the waitress came around and asked me, oh, what would you like? And I said, I'm going to have the most difficult thing on the menu. And I turned around and said, I will have a plate. Everyone else around the table were giggling and laughing because, you know, you don't just order a plate at a restaurant. But I think I'm lucky in that I have other people in my family who've gone through this before. So my family know how to react to all this. I believe in a couple of weeks we're looking at Christmas parties and stuff like that for work, so that's going to be interesting. Yeah, having someone who knows your predicament and that you can't eat a hell of a lot and making fun out of ordering a plate kind of eliminates any embarrassment that I would have otherwise been feeling had I been the first person in my family to have this procedure, and had I not been in such a situation where we're all lighthearted and giggly and, you know, just wanting to get out and have fun. But that's all I've taken on for this week. It's, of course, food related. I'm looking forward to continuing to experiment with foods and what I can have and what I still need a bit more time to be able to tolerate and things like that. I feel okay with the whole idea of not eating everything on my plate. That's what I've been taught to do since I was a youngster. And I'm very grateful that I have such a support network, like you guys, my family, everyone around me, that more or less support what I'm doing. So I'm going to leave it there for now, for this week. Hope to see you all again for next week. But until then, in case no one's told you today, you're all awesome, and I'll see you next time.